and an intercept vehicle from your side was sent out to find out who that was. It turned out it was some of your security guys in a rented vehicle. But that's the instantaneous kind of communication that goes on. When the Jaceva team came here to do a security evaluation on our side, I haven't seen the report, so I may not be telling you the entire thing. But my impression when they came in here, they were like, yeah, we're really worried about security on your side. We're not sure how we're going to handle that. It so happened that when they got here to start their investigation, the Navy guys were here from Panama City, and they were down there working. And so in the normal course of events, we were taking the Jaceva team in there. Those two groups saw each other and were like, oh, it's you, Fred. Oh, you know, my old buddy from security. They got together. When the Jaceva team walked away, they were like, we feel a lot better. We didn't realize the extent of the security expertise and technology that you've got in place right here. So again, in that regard, I think we've got what you need in place. If we need to investigate it further to verify that or make changes, we can. But those hangar driveways are very important to us because the vehicles that operate in the hangar driveways, although by definition, by your definition, they're POVs, by our definition, those are operational vehicles because your average businessman, I mean, that is his business vehicle, you know what I mean? And so for them to be able to meet their operational requirements, it's our desire that they're able to do that within those very limited boundaries of the hangar driveways.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I do disagree.
Okay.
And just to be frank, I just have to, the hole in the program remains the perimeter fence. Okay. And I appreciate the effort that you guys have gone through to do that. But I think anybody that's flown to Phoenix or flown to anywhere, you know, typically it's very unusual, in my experience anyway, it's very unusual and unheard of on a military style airfield. Granted, we have a different sort of situation here. Very unusual to be able to drive your vehicle out on the flight line. Where I grew up in Madison, Wisconsin, and we couldn't do it. We didn't drive to the hangars where Dad kept the airplane. That's where we had to walk. Or you got to ride from the guys at the PO. And again, while I understand what you're saying about these are the business vehicles of the individuals about whom we're talking about in the T and the regular hangar, there's probably also no reason whatever that we couldn't use an appropriately marked and flight line vehicle from the from either Millionaire or as a collective, if you will, with the group that we're talking about. But personally owned vehicles, I mean, unless an individual is ready to follow your procedures, Roger, unless he's willing to bring a vehicle and have it marked as an airfield vehicle, which I think is perhaps over the top, but it's that hole in the perimeter fence is what is causing the angst with our certifications and our that although there's swipe access and the rest, all of that, as I hope we all know in this room, can all be fake, can all be good. And you know, we have a man gate, of course, that's for that reason. And the secondary backup is that even if they are able to, an individual who's not supposed to be there is coming in, they're going to have to get their hands on a government vehicle or a flight line access vehicle in order to do that. Okay. On this side, we could. I don't know what the procedures are at the commercial side, except that they probably just don't. I mean, they have very few vehicles that go out there that are anything but service vehicles.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's very few. You know, POV style vehicles.
Yeah. In this area, no. The only personal vehicles that we have are in what we call the general aviation area on the west side of the airport, and only in that specific area that we just talked about.
Right. So I appreciate that people want to take their bags, they want to be comfortable, they want to take. There's also, I mean, toolboxes and the rest. I got it. But, and I know toolboxes are heavy, believe me. But all of those things can be put into a golf cart or an appropriately marked and authorized vehicle to be on, that is supposed to be on the flight line and not a field for that short movement. So, that meets my, that solves my issue of having privately owned vehicles, access to, that are inside the perimeter.
Okay. I hear you talking. We need to, this is a big shift for us.
Sure.
And so we need to get with the GA, with our tenants, our customers, and come up with a solution. I just painted those yellow lines.
Hey, and you just made a very important distinction too. I do understand that you guys are customers.
Yeah.
I mean I mean you're paying folks.
That's right.
That are paying for a hangar and paying for a T line, paying for a spot. I got that, and and I don't take my comments lightly, because airplanes ain't cheap, gas ain't, and flying's not an inexpensive hobby. Even for those that do it for a living, it's not an inexpensive hobby. So I do understand that this is kind of a sea change.
Yeah.
But it's important, believe me. It's I guess that's a lack of
No, close up the shop. We got
I like, you talked about a date. I mean, do you want to give us a hard, fast date that this has got to be come by?
Well,
the GA needs to know, if it's going to happen, they need to know by a date.
Sure. Well, as I mentioned, I would like to be today. Good. I mean, I would like that, but that's unreasonable. I mean, that's unreasonable. Let's get our collective heads together, find out, what we as GA people can come up with. What can we do to help solve the problem? Because I mean, I mean, the last thing I want is people pushing shopping carts out there too. I mean, this is, there's security and then there's stupidity, and I realize there's a difference between the two. So
I'd say let's number one, this is going to cost money. I'm out of money for this year. The budget starts 1 October. Let's give me some time past that. So let's say 60 days. We'll at least regroup and come back to you with, okay, how's this? And that gives us a little bit of time to figure out what we got to do and then make it happen.
okay. All right.
Does that work?
Yeah, it does. It's 60 days. Yeah, 60 days. So call it, 1st of December snow, and get back from Thanksgiving and all that. And we'll all be kind of fat with venison and
there you go.
And
as we move, I mean, a lot of this is going to take place in a subcommittee or another group. But before we get there, I need a little clarification on what you mean by a clearly identified authorized bid. From what I've heard so far, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't matter whether it's a privately owned bid. It matters whether or not it's clearly identifiable and authorized, and not in the moment with a pre-authorization. So a privately owned vehicle could go out on the flight line if there's a pre-authorization that's clearly identifiable with a clearly defined marking of some kind, flagging, something like that. So it's not the ownership of the vehicle.
no, well, it's the no, you're right. It's not necessarily. It's not certainly not the ownership of the vehicle, but it's whether it's a let's call it a flight line vehicle. Okay, so this might be why we need to have some additional meetings and whatnot to talk about it. But there's fuel trucks that need to be there. Ambulances would certainly be allowed on the flight line as they go down to care flight and whatnot, right? And to do that business, right? I mean, certainly we can't deny that. There's but what I have in mind, what I envision is there's and I don't know exactly how things work on the GA side, but there's a a 1992 Dodge minivan out there that's got Millionaire painted on the side, or that's got Flightline Authorized painted on the side, or there's golf carts